Shalom, hello to all of you, and thank you for clicking and tuning in. Welcome to my very first AI podcast, where I'll be sharing my own insights on the weekly Torah portion while having a conversation with, well, myself, my AI version, that is.
Yes, so it turns out I have another vocal tone now. It's still me, just thanks to my new friend Google Gemini.
We're gonna try.
Okay. We're going to try to bring you ideas and reflections based on an article I originally wrote in Hebrew, and thanks to some of the latest technologies, it's now been translated and adapted into a format we hope you'll enjoy, a podcast-style conversation.
This time, we'll be diving into one of the major dramas that unfolds in this week's Torah portion.
So maybe you can go ahead and introduce the topic for us.
Yes, let's give it a title. And the title of today's episode is, Would That All the Lord's People Were Prophets.
The story begins.
And ends pretty quickly, it must be said. But we'll get there in just a moment. So the story in the portion tells us that when Eldad and Medad began to prophesy in the camp without any official authorization from Moses, Joshua demanded they be imprisoned.
Joshua called for their imprisonment, but Moses responded with those timeless words, "Would that all the Lord's people were prophets, that the Lord would place his spirit upon them."
This incident reveals a deep difference in approach between the Moses model and the Joshua model. So regarding these two different approaches, Rabbi Steinsaltz highlighted and emphasized that this core disagreement remains deeply relevant even today. Do we aspire to become a nation of prophets, to make spirit and holiness accessible to every single person? Or do we instead acknowledge the limitations of the broader public, choosing instead to focus our energy and vision on a select few individuals with exceptional spiritual gifts?
Throughout Jewish history, this tension has reappeared time and again, whether Torah should be taught only to a small elite group deemed worthy, or whether its gates should be opened to anyone who desires to learn. Two well-known examples include the disagreements between Beit Hillel and Beit Shammai, whether Torah should be taught only to the wealthy or also to the poor, and later in Yavne, when Rabban Gamliel placed a guard at the entrance to the study hall to prevent anyone whose inner self did not match his outer self.
So we'd really be curious to hear your thoughts on this core question. Should we strive to become a nation of prophets, bringing holiness to every person as they are? Or should we concentrate our resources and vision on a small group of spiritually gifted individuals alone?
But aside from this question, which is meaningful in and of itself, I wanted to take the conversation in a slightly different direction. It seems clear to me, at least, that Moses' own background, before he became Rabbeinu, aligns naturally with the vision of would that all the Lord's people were prophets. But why did Joshua, Moses' own attendant, the one who did not depart from the tent, why did he hold a different opinion?
In my view, it's precisely our familiarity with Moses' earlier life story that lets us glimpse the roots of his worldview. But, just as importantly, it also helps us uncover what the two of them actually share.
Right, and although at first glance their approaches may seem like completely opposing worldviews, we'll soon see they share a deep common ground, one that's highly relevant for us today.
Exactly. Both Moses and Joshua, each in his own way, are acting out of deep commitment to the people of Israel and a genuine concern for holiness.
Moses longs to see everyone become a prophet because he believes in the redemptive potential and spiritual elevation of the entire people.
Joshua, on the other hand, is wary of unbounded prophecy because he's devoted to the integrity of spiritual truth and to honoring his teacher's legacy.
Or perhaps we can put it this way. What drives both of them is not a desire to control or exclude, but the weight of responsibility. Moses carries that responsibility with a visionary gaze, eyes set on a future where everyone is bathed in divine light.
Joshua carries that same responsibility with his feet firmly planted in the real world, concerned for order, purity, and structure.
And in light of Rabbi Steinsaltz's question, perhaps it's not just about whether we're more of a Moses or a Joshua, but also how we integrate the two.
Can we dream a bold dream of universal holiness while at the same time building a structure that is trustworthy, stable, and careful? Because the truth is, Jewish society needs both the open spirit of Moses and the alert responsibility of Joshua.
Thank you for listening. We hope you enjoyed.
And that we've left you with some ideas to keep reflecting on.
Wishing you all a Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.